Hello folks, and welcome to the channel. Today I'm going to be taking a look at a couple of new Baofeng radios that I've bought. And the interesting thing about these ones are that they, despite looking like a Baofeng 888S, which I'm sure a lot of people will be familiar with, which is a 16 channel UHF radio. These are actually PMR446 radios. They're not a 888S. What they are is the BF88E series, which, despite looking almost identical to the 888S, these are actually legal PMR446 radios. Now, PMR446, for those of you who maybe perhaps aren't familiar with it, is a license-free band that is used in Europe and the UK. No license required to transmit on these radios. It's license-free. But in order to comply with the terms of the license, the radios have to be type approved, in that they have to meet certain requirements for that license-free band. The requirements are that the radios must have a fixed non-removable antenna, and that the power output must not exceed half a watt, 500 milliwatts. So those are the legal requirements for the radio. And in the past, a lot of people have used other radios for PMR446, which strictly speaking didn't meet those legal requirements. One of which being this radio, which on first glance you would say, well, that's just another 88E, but in fact this one is the 888S, which doesn't comply with PMR446 regulations. And the difference being is that the 888S has a removable antenna. If we look at them side by side, you can see that the 88E, which is the legal version, has a fixed non-removable antenna, whereas the 888S, as we shall see, has a removable antenna. So that immediately rules it out as far as legality goes for use on the PMR446 band, because as I've said, in order to comply with the type approval regs for PMR446, the antenna must not be removable, it must be fixed in place. And as we can see, if we look, the antennas are actually quite different, because the one on the 888S, the radio on the right here, the antenna is a fair bit longer than the slightly stubbier fixed antenna on the 88E on the left. So that is the main physical differences between the two radios. The 88E, which is the legal version, has a fixed non-removable antenna, whereas the old 888S has a removable antenna. There's also a difference in the power output on the 888S, which makes it non-compliant with PMR446 regulations, in that the 88S is capable of outputting up to 4 watts on high power, although in my experience it doesn't really do that. It's typically more around about 2 watts on high power. You can also set it to low power, but even when you set the 888S to low power via the programming software, which we'll get onto, it is still outputting about slightly over a watt, and we'll test that later as well. So it doesn't meet the legal requirements for use on PMR446, whereas the little 88E here, according to the specs, and I've no way of actually testing this because the radio has a fixed antenna, so I can't plug in my normal testing meter, which is a Chirp. It won't actually be able to fit it onto the 88E because that's where the test meter goes. You remove the antenna and you screw the meter in to the antenna socket, but because the antenna isn't removable on the 88E, I won't actually be able to remove it to physically test the power output. But according to the handbook, it comes with the radio is compliant with the power output, because if we go to the specifications of the radio, we will see that in the spec of the radio is actually outputting less than half a watt. As we can see here on the table, the RF output power is classed as at or less than 500 milliwatts ERP, effective radiated power. So we can but trust what the handbook says, in that the radio is in fact legal as far as power output goes, although I won't actually be able to test that with the meter. But to demonstrate that the 888S actually isn't legal on power output, we'll do a quick power test on it using the meter here. We'll remove the antenna and we'll screw in our meter for measuring the RF power output on the Chirp meter here. Going into my dummy load here, which is a 50 ohm dummy load. So we screw on our meter, we'll turn it on, and we'll get it set to see what sort of power output we're getting on the radio.
Power on 4.
On channel 4 here, but we're going into a dummy load, so it doesn't really matter. We won't actually be transmitting. So we'll press our push to talk here, and let's see what kind of power output we're getting. And as we can see, I hope we can see it, the sun is playing up a bit, but the reading actually is 1.01 watts. So it's more than the legal half a watt requirement for the radio. The 88S, even when it's set to low power, is outputting over 1 watt of power. So unfortunately the 88S doesn't meet the power requirements for PMR446. It's not terribly over the limit. I mean, the difference between half a watt and a watt is pretty negligible, but as I say, the rules and the regulations are such that in order to be compliant, the radio mustn't output more than half a watt on the power output. But out of the box, the little... we've got somebody TX in there on the channel, so I'll move frequency.
7.
Try 7 there.
Welcome. 4, 5, 6, 8, 7.
They actually do transmit straight out of the box. The little 88E comes pre-programmed with the 16 analog PMR446 frequencies. So the radio actually is ready to use straight out of the box. There's no programming required at all. It is legal to use straight out of the box. Whereas if you buy a little 888S, not only is the radio not legal power-wise or antenna-wise, but it will come pre-programmed with test frequencies from the factory in China, which are just used simply to test the radio. And it will come with all sorts of strange, weird and wonderful test frequencies with various CTCSS tones and one thing and another set on it, which are used for testing the radio prior to dispatch to the customer. And what a lot of people don't realise is that that's what they are. They're just test frequencies. They're not meant to be used on for transmitting on the radio. So people buy these little 88S radios. They think I can use it straight out of the box, and if you get a pair of them, they will match up, but they will be transmitting on illegal frequencies, which are not intended for use. So what I have done with the little 88S is I have programmed it via Chirp programming software, and I have put on the 16 analog PMR446 frequencies on it. So even though technically the radio still isn't legal for transmit because of the power, over the power limit and the removable antenna, at least it is operating on legal frequencies, PMR446 frequencies, which otherwise it wouldn't be. But as I say, you have no such worries with the little 88E, which is pre-programmed with the 16 PMR446 analog frequencies and is legal to use straight out of the box. So no issues with legality with the BF88E here, whereas there are issues with the 888S. I would say, if you have to use this little radio, don't use it with the test frequencies because they would be a lot more prone to cause interference because they're just programmed with random test frequencies, whereas if you at least program it with PMR446 frequencies, at least you'll be on the license-free PMR446 band. Not strictly legal, again, but it's better than using it with the frequencies, the test frequencies from the factory. As I say, out of the box, the two little radios are virtually identical. The 88E or the 88E comes with a charging cradle, which thankfully is USB and not the 88S used to come with the mains 240 volt charging unit for the UK. But at least now they have a USB charging cradle, which would be a lot safer than the old cheap mains unit that the 88S used to come with. Very nice little radio, very simple, very similar to the 88S. You just have your push to talk button on the side here. You have on the top, you have the squelch button where you can open the squelch on the radio, and below that you have the torch or flashlight, whatever you want to call it, the button below that. Switch it on, get it flash, turn it off. So it still retains the little flashlight on the unit as well. Around the other side, you just have your usual 2-pin K connection, which you can use for plugging in an external speaker mic. The little radios do come with a packaged little earpiece speaker mic, which is useful. It's not terribly good, but it is useful, and it's better than nothing. The battery itself is a removable, rechargeable unit, and it's 1500 milliamp hours, so not the most powerful battery, but certainly not the worst either. You can see there, yeah, 1500 milliamp hour battery, slightly thin. If we look at the label on the radio, we can see that the model is the BF88E, and the voltage 3.7 volts, and frequency it says there is PMR446. So that's good to know. It is. The label does indicate that this is a legal PMR446 radio for use in Europe and the UK. So we can have a little look at the radio, the programming of the radio, and we can just check that the radio is actually using legal PMR446 frequencies by connecting the radio up to our laptop with the Chirp installed on it. And we can use a standard Baofeng programming cable with a 2-pin K connector on the end of it. These are, you can either use the Baofeng one, which is usually a CH340 chip in it, or you can buy the slightly more expensive FTDI chipped cable, but either will work equally well. I'm running Windows 11, latest version 25H2, and no issues whatsoever with using that. So we'll plug it into our laptop here, and we'll open up Chirp, and we'll have a look at the 88E in Chirp. Now, I have the latest version of Chirp Next installed on the laptop here. If we open it up, and we go to radio, and we go to download from radio, and we select Baofeng BF888. Yes, we do select the old 888 to read from this radio, because there isn't actually any Chirp support for the 88E in Chirp. But if you select the Baofeng BF888, it will read from the radio, absolutely no problem. We just have to select our COM port here, which in this case is COM port 3. So we select that, and we click OK to read from the radio. And there we go. It's reading from the radio, no problem at all. Picking up somebody on it there. Just turn it off for a minute. Bit of activity on PMR446 around my house today. So we can see from looking at the pre-programmed frequencies on the 88E that there's your 16 PMR446 frequencies down the left hand side. We can see that there are no tones or CTCSS or DCS tones are set on this radio. The radio is set to narrow FM mode, which is what we use in UK and Europe. We don't use wide FM, we use narrow. But in the power setting, what's interesting to note is that it is set to low, and there is an option. If we click on the low, we can actually see that there's a high power option. Now, if you were to set it to that high power option, and the radio you were to TX on it on high power, then you would lose the legality. I'm presuming the radio actually is capable of outputting more than half of what it shouldn't be, technically, but I don't see why they would have a low and a high option there. Hopefully the radio isn't capable of TXing in more than half a watt to keep it legal, but just in the programming software there, which is intended for the 888S, by the way, which is probably why there's the high power option is included there. But the little 88E, I would say even if you set that to high power, it still wouldn't transmit on high power. It's not capable. It's hardware limited to half a watt. So yes, it's nice to see that the radio is actually correctly programmed with the 16 PMR446 frequencies for the UK, which means that the little radio is all good to go right out of the box. It is legal for use on PMR446 within the UK. So all good there, and it's ready to use and fully legal. As I say, using the 888S on PMR446, technically it's not legal for use on PMR446, but personally I would rather that somebody programmed a little radio with PMR446 rather than using it with test frequencies from the factory. It's the lesser of two evils, if you like. So yeah, they do, as I say, we're on channel 7 there, and we'll switch on to 7.
Power on. 7.
And if we press our PTT, we can see that each radio is communicating with each other, no problem. You get your red TX LED when transmitting and a green LED when receiving. So yeah. Yeah, all good. So there you have it, the little completely legal Baofeng BF88E series radios. Baofeng have actually produced a legal for UK and Europe PMR446 radio, which is nice because previously the only option we had was the little 888S, which is, strictly speaking, it should be used as a ham radio on the 70 centimeter ham band, and which requires the user to have a ham radio operator's license to transmit on ham bands, whereas PMR446 band is license free, doesn't require the user to have any license, and they can buy a set of these little 88Es. They come ready to use right out of the box, come with the charger, charging cradle, USB charging cradle. Mine don't actually have a USB-C charging on the battery. They're cradle charging only. I have seen these marketed with a USB-C charging battery, but mine don't have it. I bought these on AliExpress for the grand total of £14 and 39 pence, I think, which is about 16 and a half euros, or about 19 US dollars for the pair. They come boxed as a pair, come with the charging cradles, they come with the little earpiece and the lanyard as well. A lot of radios come with. So for the price of £14, I mean, what would £14 buy you nowadays? Pretty much nothing, really. But for that price, you get a couple of very nice, plasticky but very sturdy little PMR446 completely legal, license-free walkie-talkies for use in UK and Europe. So there you have it. The Baofeng 88E series for people who want to stay legal and get a proper type approved radio for use on PMR446 in Europe or the UK. Then pick yourself up a couple of these little Baofeng BF88E series radios. Great little piece of kit. I like them a lot, and as I say, they're legal, ready to use right out of the box. So thanks for watching the video, folks. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. Feel free to subscribe to the channel if you want to for more content like this. It's all free, of course, and I hope you enjoyed the video, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. But in the meantime, thank you very much for watching, and bye for now.